Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Dr. Lenny Rosenblum joining us here from the New York area, Union Square Spinal Care. He's the owner of that, and he's also a doctor, a chiropractor to be specific, and is here to talk again today about how he pursues, chiropractic care in more of a holistic way, in a sense of helping someone holistically, I should say, with the whole word in it, with his viewpoint. He's here to really help people feel better and improve themselves and their bodies and their mental health well-being as well. Welcome back.
All connected. Thank you very
It
much.
is. Thank you.
Nice smile today.
Oh, thanks. Well, for new listeners today, tell us a little bit about yourself to start.
Okay, so I'm a chiropractor called the DC here in the Manhattan area. Obviously, Union Square is 18th. I'm at 18th and Broadway. And I've been doing chiropractic, well, not counting the years I spent in student, but as a licensed doctor, I've been doing that since 1987. And I think I'm doing pretty good. And I have to say, it's the one thing I found in my life that I always enjoy doing and look forward to every day. So it's
amazing. And by the way, who inspired you to get into this field? Your story itself, right? But any people in general that pushed you along the way? Was it your own personal chiropractor that you met?
Well, it was an oblique thing because I was more interested in the field of nutrition and taking my degree in that. And I got good and sick. And the only person who helped me was a chiropractor who gave me a diet.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if he's still practicing now. His son is in practice. And his son actually wrote the book about his father's philosophy on nutrition called Eating for Your Blood Type, which is off the subject, but a very influential person. And he's the one who suggested I go to chiropractic school to learn about what I call vitalistic health, which is really holistic healing, really seeing the whole person, not just a particular symptom and what pill we can give them for it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, and when I was in chiropractic school, I had lots of really inspiring teachers, and it's a very philosophical group that are in the schools. And I'm very blessed that I've had some amazing teachers over the years, and I've been lucky enough to study under the people who develop the techniques that I actually do, whether it be network spinal analysis or advanced biostructural correction or even sacro-occipital technique. All these people were discovered by somebody, and being able to study with the originator is a huge advantage. So I'm very happy and blessed that way.
Wonderful. And would you like to share a little bit about, first of all, how we can get in touch with you so people know? unionsquarespinalcare.com is a great start. That's your website. And what did you have in mind for us today in regards to why we should see a chiropractor? What are the benefits? And clearly you love what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to talk about what we do when we're not in my office, and how people take care of themselves and how our daily lives impact things and how it becomes part of the education of new patients, how I help them take better care of themselves.
Got it.
Boy. So I'm going to talk around the issues of how we sleep, stand, and sit. Things that we often take for granted, and very important because it's how we interface with the main player of our spinal system, and that's gravity. We all sit on a chair, we all stand on our feet, or we lie on a bed because if there was no gravity, we'd fall up.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yep.
So these are things that our spine is designed for, and our whole body is built around this whole idea. So and I'm going to go back into some of the science from the embryo to the fetus to a living, breathing person, what that really means. Because when a human body is developing from the very beginning, it's just a cluster of cells. And the first thing that the body produces that is anything recognizable, I'm going to show a picture here for those people that are
on the Zoom. Go ahead.
On the Zoom, yeah. You can see little bits that are actually the beginning of the spinal column.
Yeah.
And everything develops out of that, and they connect to all the different organs of the body, and they actually influence the development of everything step by step. But what goes on next is a child inside the womb doesn't have to breathe. It has a heartbeat, but it's not pooping or peeing or any of those other things. It's just laying there. So the curve of the spine, I'm going to show this other image now. They show the fetal position, and that fetal curve is, it's all curved forward, like letter C, right?
Yeah.
And that's all well and good because it doesn't have to do very much. But when we come out, we develop what we call secondary curves. That C curve is the primary curve, and then we have two secondary curves.
Okay.
And that's important because if you let your head drop forward all the way, you're going to notice that it puts pressure on the chest and it's hard to breathe. When the child lifts their head, they're starting to develop, and now there's room for the breath, there's room for the heart, everything starts to work better. And later on, we have the secondary curves when we start to stand up and run around the house, and then mom has to chase after that, right? So that is, those two curves allow us to be functioning adults in the world. And these curves are very important, and there's certain things that we can do that will help that, and there's certain things that we can do that can mess that up. So prolonged bad posture starts to actually change the shape of the spine. And I'm talking about the actual bone. So bone is a living thing. Just like a tree has a layer of growth that goes every year out more and more. On the outside of every bone of our body, there's a layer that are new cells are producing new bone. And as it goes inward, the body eats away and changes and forms a particular shape. Now, if the weight on that spine is distorted because you haven't been taking care of yourself, you're spending many hours with your head slumped forward like this, looking at your computer screen, you're going to start to get into trouble because the bones actually start to change their shape. And that's when people really have like long-term issues that they have to really fix. And that's going to take a much longer amount of time to heal than somebody who has waited until they're a complete mess. Okay, I keep small problems small. But I'm going to talk a little bit about, first I'm going to talk about the whole issue of sitting. So did you get that cushion that I mailed?
I did. I wish I had it with me today. I don't. I didn't go to the station until Sunday to get my paycheck, and they had the cushion and I had the letter from you. Thank you so much. I didn't get to use it yet.
Okay. But it's shaped like a wedge.
It's shaped like a
right? And I have one that's covered over here, but because it matches.
Nice cover.
But you see how it's thicker on one end and narrower on the other.
Yeah.
The reasons that's important is because most chairs are designed to look comfortable, and they have the butt lower than the thigh. And you sit down in that and you just collapse and you feel, oh, this is good. And it's great for 5 minutes. But 40 minutes into any kind of project, and you start to make a mess of things. Your head starts to collapse more and more. And even breathing starts to become harder because you're in this forward position like I was describing earlier. So this little cushion actually changes the angle. And so, you know, if everybody who's listening or watching would stand up for a moment and just notice when you put your hand in the small of your back, there's an inward curve.
Yeah.
Standing up. I don't know. Okay. I'll take your word. But when you sit down.
Oh, no, for sure. I just felt it. Yep.
When you sit down, you might notice that you start to lose that curve.
Yeah.
And I encourage my patients to find a way to sit upright with that inward curve. And you're going to notice that when you have that, your breath can go down to the belly more readily, and everything else works better. As a matter of fact, I find I concentrate better when I'm sitting upright like this. The backrest on a chair for me is only to rest for like a couple of minutes. I really sit upright like this as much as possible whenever I'm in a chair. So making sure that people are sitting properly, very important, especially nowadays with so many people are working from home on computers or looking at their cell phone for hours at a time. And, you know, I get on the subway here in New York City and I see people sitting on the phone like this, and I'm ready to yell at them and say, how rich do you want to make me? Because if you keep sitting like this, you're going to have to come see me. Right? So this is a very important aspect of our daily life. And this is why I focus on these things in the initial week of care in my office. So the three things that I work on in my initial week, and the first one, I'm always working on how people sit.
Yeah.
Then I go into the details of how we stand. So it's amazing how different you stand when you learn to focus your weight on your feet in the right place. So those of us that have spent any time in a yoga studio will find out that the more you put your weight on your heels, the more your upper body naturally lifts. And I tell people, by weight from the hips down, our body is 60% leg. And if our legs are not engaged in doing their work, then our upper body is struggling to stay upright. And yeah, I get people who want to do a headstand for 5 minutes. I said, can you stand on your own 2 feet for 5 minutes without moving? You'd be surprised how few people can do that. And I'm always inspired by one of my yoga teachers who studied with this fellow BKS Iyengar. And one of his classes with Mr. Iyengar back in the old days when you studied one-on-one, you guru, it's not a class of 30 people. He had a class where he was standing for 2 hours nonstop. Just stay in place, and he being observed by his teacher to make sure he was doing it. Wow, that's like impressive. So, and then I go over what are their shoes like, because that's where you interface with gravity, because most of us don't stand barefoot, we stand in shoes. And is the heel too high? Is it too low? As a matter of fact, we like a little bit of a heel. We tend to find that we are able to get our weight on our heel better with just a little bit of lift. So that's one of the things I go over. And so I actually put little things inside of people's shoes so their foot accommodates their weight properly. So that's
what are they called?
It's just a little inserts. I don't even know if there's a word for it.
It's an insert. Okay.
Yeah, that I put under the heel or maybe under the arch just a little bit. But I'm not big on big arch supports because I really want people to use the intrinsic muscles of their feet. And I actually spend time with them, like at a yoga class, on how their feet are actually engaged so that their muscles of their arch are actually lifting, because I'm born flat-footed. And I actually can create an arch by making my muscles work. And I teach people how to find those muscles and how to work with them. And I tell them, whenever you're standing around waiting online someplace, get into focus. And when you're going to the gym and do weightlifting or yoga, all these things will improve if you pay attention to how you're standing. As a matter of fact, talking about Mr. Iyengar, one of his early students was his world famous violinist, Yehudi Menuhin, who was known to do 40 minutes to an hour of yoga every day before he even picked up the violin.
Wow.
That's impressive. And I'm an amateur musician, so I have noticed how much better I play when I'm standing properly than when I slump, which is interesting feedback to get right away.
Yep.
Okay. And the other thing is, I like surfaces that are firm. So when somebody walks in with those shoes, what do they call them? Crocs. They're nice and soft. And you stand on it, it feels nice and gushy, and it's all cute, right?
I tried them on for the first time 2 months ago. My kids are 5 and 7. They wanted them. It's so pinchy. There's like the holes in the bottom. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Well, the problem with that is that our body is designed with bony prominences. So we have a heel bone and we have the bones on the ball of our foot. And when we sit down, we have the bones that we sit on. I'm going to take out my plastic spine here. And we're supposed to sit on this thing called the ischial tuberosity.
Wow.
Sit bones from some people call
it.
And if this sinks in because we're sitting on a really soft chair, just like if we're standing on a shoe that's way too soft, our spinal our mechanics are thrown off. Instead of going where they were designed, now it's on the soft tissue around that bony prominence. So all the simple things that so-called primitive people take for granted, we're trying to figure out how to do that in our soft cushioned environment, and we're getting into trouble from it. So I'm always talking about, you're better off with a firm mattress, you're better off with firm shoes and a nice firm chair. As a matter of fact, that cushion that I gave you If you put it on a soft couch or one of those mesh bottom chairs like they have in high-tech offices,
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to do anything for you. It has to be
Interesting.
on a firm surface to work. So now I'm going to come up to, sleep.
Oh,
Yeah. And we spend a good hour, 8 hours a day of sleeping if we're healthy, right?
yeah.
And okay, so sometimes people tell me, well, I don't know if I should change my mattress. And I have a very, very simple way for them to figure it out. If they have a soft mattress, I say, do you have anywhere in your home that has like carpeting or a rug? And hopefully they'll say yes, or I find something else. I tell them, put as many quilts or blankets on top of that to imitate a firm mattress.
Yeah.
And you try that and you tell me if you don't feel better on a firmer surface. Then it justifies going out and spending $1,000 or $2,000 on a firmer mattress. I wouldn't tell somebody to throw out a mattress unless they had some actual proof.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And the other thing I ask people when they come in, sometimes they're complaining how they feel. I said, well, how'd you feel last night before you went to bed? They were okay. And how about when you woke up? Oh, not so good. Then I start to question, are they following my directions when it comes to sleep issues?
Yeah.
So this is one way I can help people figure out what they're doing that's I really want to tell people at some point you don't hear, go out, do something stupid because I need the money. So if I can find a way to help them take better care of themselves and out of the office, that's really my job. Okay. So here's the thing that's interesting about sleep. When we're lying down, okay, we're inside, okay, we have a spinal cord inside a bony spinal canal. So
Mm-hmm.
the base of your skull all the way down to your sacrum.
Okay.
There's a bony spinal canal that's about like, say about an inch in diameter.
Okay.
The spinal cord is sitting inside and it gets pulled down by gravity.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're lying on your side and your head is level with your spine, you would think you'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
But what's happening internally is that spinal cord is pulled down. Now,
Okay.
I think I mentioned last time, I don't know how people remember, there won't be a test on this, but this meningeal tissue that surrounds the spinal cord and creates feedback to the postural system. Okay. When it's pulled down, the signal is for your body to roll forward. And you'll notice most people, when they're lying in bed on their side, they have their arms curled in front of them and they have their knees bent. And that's because if you're not a whale or a dolphin with a blowhole in the back, but you have a nose in the front, lying face down is not an option.
Yeah.
Right? So they have to use these things to buttress themselves from rolling forward. What I explain is that if we lift the head incrementally, and I do that here in the office with blankets, and I have layers and layers and layers, and I have them lie on their side, and I notice at what point of lift do their body become neutral. And if I go too far, they'll actually roll backwards. You can actually try that at home.
Okay.
Yeah, stack up the pillows when you're lying on your side, at a certain point, you roll backward. And if it's too low, you're rolling forward, and you get just the right height, and suddenly you're neutral.
Okay.
And that makes a huge difference because now you're spending a good 8 hours of your day with no tension on your spine.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that people, even if you're not a patient of mine, you can actually do this at home yourself. But you get the advantage of me showing you how to do it in the office.
Awesome.
So these are some of the most important things that I deal with people and helping them on their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Sure, we have firm surfaces, that our shoes are taken care of, that their chair has the right angle and the right seat, and they're able to sit up straight. And then they have to look at their computer screen and monitors. And there are people who specialize in that. I don't have time for that one. But these are all things that go into our daily life that make a huge difference, just as much as exercise or eating well.
Yeah.
So this is an important part of my work. Do you have any questions at this point?
I don't have any specific questions, but I love that what you do can help somebody. Okay, for example, let me just explain a few things. Well, for someone who's been pregnant, who's had 2 pregnancies, and I have a girlfriend who recently we were talking about, she went to a chiropractor afterwards to get adjusted because she was in so much pain, because there's a whole thing where and I should know, but your bones expand, right, around your uterus, and it doesn't affect the vertebrae and everything. So she was out of whack after she had the baby, and she said she went to the chiropractor, and I don't know what he did specifically, but it was amazing. She was realigned in a sense. So as a woman, my question to women out there who may not be feeling good, a lot of us have children and there
Oh,
could be stuff that's wrong, right? I mean,
exactly. The body in its wisdom actually produces a hormone in the last trimester that allows ligaments to loosen a little bit. So the two hip bones over here that I'm going to show to the people who are on visual, okay, actually rock back and forth a little bit with each breath.
okay.
And so this actually can loosen up a little bit to open up that birth canal that the baby comes out naturally, right?
Yeah.
So that's important. But if there's any distortion in the spine, like if they have like side bending or something like this, and everybody has a little bit of scoliosis because we have a heart on one side and aorta on the other, and our spine actually absorbs shock when there's a little bit of curve to it. But when we loosen it up, and if there's any kind of imbalance already, now it's accentuated during that last trimester of pregnancy, let alone whatever happens during the birthing itself. I mean, who knows what happens in these rooms? So I'm just going to ask.
Well, that was my question, because I think there's people out there probably don't realize that they're suffering so much, and it could be related to pregnancy, ladies, just saying.
Oh yeah, I've helped a lot of people who actually had miscarriages until they started seeing me. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. But then the other thing is, in the first year and a half of life with the baby, you're walking around with the phone in one ear and the baby on the hip and the other side, you're walking around like this, and who knows for how many hours, because you can't get out of the house that easily.
Yep, exactly.
So these are all part of the challenges of modern life that we have around us. And, our forebears did not have a telephone to talk on.
Wow, it's so true. Yeah.
The baby wrapped in a papoose around their back or something like this for a long period of time. Then we also had like tribal life. So everybody sort of got together and supported each other. Now we have to do everything on our own. So we live with a lot more isolation, and we're trying to do it all and have it all.
Absolutely. Very true. All right. We still got 4 minutes left here. What else in particular is important for you to share with everyone today about you and your services? And I just have a quick question. The change of the seasons, right? I mean, it's getting colder out.
Yeah.
What's happening to our bodies? Are we like expanding and like shrinking? Like, what does the weather have to do with all our bodies, our joints, our muscles, our bones?
Sure. Atmospheric pressure changes. I mean, I have people who know exactly when the weather's changing because they can feel it in their body.
Yeah.
That's because the joints that we have in our body are sealed in a little capsule, and any pressure around it actually makes them swell or contract depending on what's going on. So, we have that. And the other thing is, this goes back more to like Chinese medicine, where they talk about the different elements, the earth, wind, fire, and all this. And different seasons actually cause certain organs in the body to wake up and do things. So in Chinese medicine, as we go into the fall, which is the season of the lungs, we start to see all these respiratory problems come up.
Yeah.
So, that's a thing that we definitely see, going on. And I'm also very big on making sure that people maintain their homes with the correct humidity, because now we're getting into the indoor heating season. And right now it's humid, but days when we start to get cold and dry weather is a bigger strain now on the respiratory system. So, you see dust floating around the air. A little bit, some places more, some people's less, but it has electrical charge. When the air is dry, just like you get static cling and static charges, okay, the best place for that dust and all those things to accumulate is the only area of moisture in the room, which is our respiratory system. So if the air is very dry, then we start to see many more issues around with respiratory irritation, and that can lead to infections that can get sometimes really serious. Thank you, Kitty. And yeah, talk about dust in the room. Thanks. So there's that. And so I make sure that people have a good humidifier, and even talk about how to maintain that so they're not getting it buggy in the room. And this is, an important thing of daily life, which is part of what I'm always looking for. What are the little things that we can do in our home and in how we treat ourselves in our environment that make a huge difference day to day?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I love that your cat's joining us. And I just hope that he or she doesn't think that's the litter box, the way she's scratching.
No. He's demonstrating that he wants better food. And
is that what that is? Yeah,
Oh
my
my
cat.
God. I bring out a smorgasbord for these cats. There's like 3 or 4 different items. And
I love it. It's amazing how they communicate, right?
Yeah. This is his displeasure. I'm not going to get 3 stars from Michelin with this guy.
I can't. Wow. He's into fine dining. Who knew? All right, doctor, would you mind sharing how we could reach out to you?
Yes, please. Don't hesitate. Give a call, 212-254-4586. If you want to send me an email, it's Dr. Lenny R, DRLENNYR @gmail.com, or use my website, Union Square Spinal Care, all one word, .com.
Thank you so much, Leonard. You have a fantastic day. Looking forward to when we speak. And I hear we're going to be meeting soon. I'm excited for that too, as well, to do a one-on-one show in person. That would be awesome.
I'll have really good lighting.
Oh, good. Yes, me too. Thank you. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.